Many people who arrive at the halftime of life or even at the end of a career start asking the question, what's next? For Tom Hand, that question was answered by developing his passion for America's founding era with a foundation that masterfully tells the American story through videos, podcasts, books, and a flourishing grant program. And it's a wonderful way to give back and to continue living life with significance and with purpose. So as we celebrate America's Independence Day this year, we look at the history of our country with the sacrifices that so many gave for our freedoms. And we will be very inspired by Tom's message to live every single day with significance. So stay tuned. This podcast is brought to you by DJ Works Media with resources and ideas for you at mid-career or halftime of life. Check out our online courses where we want you to not only start, but finish. Books available in all versions and songs available for immediate download with sheet music and instrumental accompaniment tracks. Our musicals are family-friendly with great music that's memorable and inspiring. Sign up at goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter for weekly updates. Now to our episode. I'm so excited to have Tom Hand with us today. And the focus of this podcast, Women at Halftime, also for men, is to be able to help people at mid-career, halftime of life, answer that question, what's next? And Tom has really done that in his life in a big way. And I'm so excited to hear, to help tell your story, actually, because you have decided at this point in your life not to retire. It's exactly what I encourage others to do. And to be able to use your skills, your passion, and to be able to have just such an amazing chapter of your life. So, Tom, welcome. And for all of you, make sure I put out articles every single week, and Tom's will be, his interview at least will be included in one that I have. And this is being released right around our 4th of July, Independence Day. I'm so excited for your message. So, Tom, I'd love you to say hello to everybody and then give a little bit of your business background and all your decisions that you decided to do at this point.
Well, thank you, Deborah. First of all, thank you for having me on. It's flattering to be here, and it's an honor to be on with you. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I won't give you the long novel version. I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. My business background was I went to the military academy. I did a military thing. Procter & Gamble for a couple of years, and I wanted a taste of business ownership, and hence this opportunity came available in northern Wisconsin, in the beautiful little village of Gilman, and I grabbed at it when I was young and invincible, and anyway, and it turned out just to be a huge blessing for me. So that's how I got to this point.
Oh, and so it was a cheese business, is that correct?
It was, and it was the first cheese factory I ever saw in my life. When I bought it, I had been at Fort Bragg when I was serving in the service, and I had the opportunity to meet a couple of business owners. And I grew up fairly poor, so I didn't really know any business owners growing up. And but when I met these guys, I thought it was intriguing to meet these guys who were really controlling their own destiny. And it just resonated well with me. And then I left the service, went to Procter & Gamble for a while. And I always remembered, though, that I wanted to do something on my own before it was too late.
Yeah.
And so this opportunity came available. I knew a guy who knew a guy, one of those kind of stories.
Yeah.
And I had to go up to this little village of 410 people.
Wow.
And meet with there was a kind of a little floundering 12-person cheese factory in this little village. And I told the guy, if you'll teach me what cheese is, I'll buy the company from you. And
wow.
And so that was how I got into the cheese world. And honestly, it started out terrible. I made every mistake you could make. I thought I knew everything and found out pretty quick I didn't. But we learned from our mistakes, and it ended up pretty good. And so here we are today.
And you were able to sell that, because I really wanted to talk about, of course, your foundation that you have now,
Sure.
But you are doing what you are doing now because of the success that you had in your company. And it doesn't really matter if you have this huge success, but you were able to start a foundation, and you're able to give back a lot. And in that, and so we'll cover a little bit of some of the amazing things that you're doing at this point, but you were able to sell that. And at what point did you decide to sell?
Well, I was getting into my mid to late 50s. I was 58 when I sold. And, without getting too much detail, I had prostate cancer when I was 56. And I realized that Tom Hand was not immortal. And so it was quite a shock. Yeah. And so I thought, and the other thing was the business had just been on an upward trajectory for 6-7 years in a row. And I know that things that go up can come down. And, I wanted to get out on an upbeat note. And so after our best year we ever had, we took the business to market. We were blessed enough to get a bunch of offers from a lot of firms. And we chose the one that it wasn't the highest bidder, to be honest. It was a good offer, but we felt like it was a company that would resonate well with our staff. Your staff becomes part of your family if you have them for 20 some years. And so it mattered to us that they would be comfortable with the group that we chose. And either way, we were going to be wealthy beyond our wildest dreams. And so that's how it turned out, selling it. But it's interesting when you sell that out that young. I'm 58, and Char was 54 at the time. Bright gal, she's a CPA. She was our CFO. And there's too much gas in the tank, in my opinion, just to not do something. And so so I had a chance to not do much, to be honest, for the first couple of months. Char would say the first couple of days, and then it drove me crazy. And it was just about the time when I started seeing more stories that I felt weren't telling the true story about the American founding era. And so I thought, well, I'm just one guy. But I got time on my hands. I'm going to start writing some stories about the founding era, as without the revisionist twist on it. And so I started writing for a local county paper with probably a circulation of about 50. And I kind of like that. And so then I created a website with the help of Sherry Breen, a website developer in Savannah. And that went pretty well. And so I thought, well, why not make some videos? Who doesn't want to be a YouTube star? And so I said that. And that worked out pretty good. The first couple of videos, Deborah, are horrible, but we've gotten decent at them, and now we get sometimes 200,000 views on a video. And then it grew from there. Now we're doing books. We're doing a grant program, and it all stemmed, you're right, from the little cheese factory that I took a chance on back in 1994.
It just is such a great story. It's an American story. It's what we have in this country, and we're talking about the freedoms that we have. Yeah. And you're telling that story. And I've watched some of your videos, and you've told me what it takes to do those videos. They're very well produced at this point. Okay. We have all, as entrepreneurs, put out stuff that we don't want to watch again. It's just amazing. Yes. And if you forget to take it down, it's like, oh no, more views. Exactly. So it's what it is, and we just laugh about it now. Especially as we get older, we think it doesn't matter anymore. That's right. Exactly. I don't care how I look. But it's I think it's so wonderful that you reinvested. And you told me what it takes to do all of those videos. And for all of you listening, if you're listening to the podcast, watching the video, you will have the links to the website to where you can see some of those videos. They're very well produced. And you
you.
said to do those, I mean, that takes a chunk. Every single month, you have a good team, right?
We do. We probably, between the videos and the blog postings, and we do an interview once a month on a historical site to kind of give them a little bit of a boost. We probably spend $40,000 a month creating the content for our foundation, and boy, what a great investment! When it's interesting, Deborah, when you've never had much, and all of a sudden you have a lot. It's a bit humbling that you have a responsibility to manage those dollars well. It's those blessings don't just come to everybody. And so we thought, Shar and I talked about what should we do with this sort of thing. And we took care of our family like we should, and took care of ourselves, of course.
Right.
But after that, the great love for me is my country. And so I thought, what can I do? And so now we're working down our estate, trying to help others continue to tell the story. And what a blessing it's been to be able to have that opportunity. Not everybody has it. And so we've been so fortunate to be in this position.
It really is. It makes you very grateful, very thankful. And as we record this, the message going out this week for this week's podcast, one of the messages, or one of the podcasts going out this week, is on invisible wealth. And there's so much to be thankful for. You now have your health. You are able to do some of the things that you love to do. That is a true gift to be able to do that. Not everybody has that opportunity. But even when people have the opportunity, they don't jump on it to use that. It's kind of wasted. And you've targeted this certain area, and you've done really well with that. And it's money's well spent. Your videos are produced well. They're short and sweet. So if people are thinking, oh no, it's history. Oh no, I can't watch history.
No kidding. I know 2.5 minutes is about a limit for people listening to me. I learned that at the factory.
Well, that's good. And you've got great graphics. I mean, that's the nice thing too. And they're just really well. I knew you'd spent the money because you've got wonderful graphics in there. And it's a message really that, people are trying to change history right now. It's just, if you don't know history, you're going to repeat all of those mistakes. You've got to know history, and that was one of your loves, to be able to do this. And so your focus and your mission, talk a little bit more specific about, because I talk a lot about purpose, but part of purpose, getting there, is to really understand your core values. So, and we've talked about some of your core values, and what, you value in life, of course, is giving back, and from your humble beginnings. There's a lot of stories about this. When people come from nothing, then it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to give back. So, but what is, for your Americana Corner, what is your main mission of this, besides, you do a lot of different things? So,
I guess the main mission is to tell Americans the inspirational nature of our founding. And not just Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. They were great men, of course. The other ones that people don't know as well, and even beyond the first generation, the next generation of our ancestors. My mission is really to remind people that we owe a debt of gratitude, an eternal debt of gratitude, to what they gave us, what they established. It's you've built a business. I've built a business. And I've run businesses for other people. And I can tell you that it's harder to build a business than it is to simply run it. Running is important.
Yes.
There's nothing against that. But to create it, that takes something special, to be able to figure it all out from the beginning and piece it all together.
Yeah.
And that's what these guys did in an era when that sort of stuff wasn't happening. John Locke had written 100 years before, and Rousseau had some thoughts out there, but no one had ever coalesced those ideas into a form of government. And these guys did that, and that they were able to do it, and do it well, and not have it digress into a French Revolution type of anarchy. It's pretty amazing. And of course, we take it for granted today.
Yeah,
they declare independence, they win the war, of course. That's what happened. But No, not that simple. And I
No,
just want people to remember that. That's all.
yeah, a lot of
That's my mission.
lives were spent. Yeah,
That's my
a
mission.
lot of lives, a lot of bloodshed. And there's a lot of wisdom behind that, the checks and balances in our government. And wow, there's a lot of wisdom in that. And they had to live that because they had come from, when they came over to the Americas from British and from all of that rule, they had to fight for those freedoms and for that independence. And so we celebrate that today. And many times we celebrate it lightly. Let's just go watch some fireworks, but.
Well, you're right. The thing people forget is that these weren't the rabble who had nothing to lose by declaring independence. These were some of the wealthiest men in the colonies. They had a lot to lose. It would have been much easier for them to simply allow the status quo to continue, but they risked it all.
Yeah.
Many gave their lives, and so that's a pretty special generation. And as I said, I just think it's important that we never lose sight of that. And so if I can do a little bit to help remind people of that, then I've accomplished my mission.
That's so great. I loved it, and especially because I'm really drawn to technology that's done well. And it was just so apparent that you have spent a lot to be able to get to the place that you are, because it's very, very well produced. And you've written a book as well, at least one. Okay, so let's talk about that too, and why you wrote this book, because, and I will have the links to that also in the notes. Writing a book is it takes some work. And I love it. I really do. But boy, writing is rewriting, and it's a craft to be able to, actually, it's a slug to be able to get it done. So finish it, actually. So
it is, you do the manuscript and you think you're done. And you are not done. There was a lot of work left to do. But as I went through this whole process, I wanted to do something for what I call the everyday American, not the scholars, not the academicians, nothing against them.
Yes.
But I didn't find there were a lot of great books out there for the average American, the everyday American, the guy who doesn't want to read a 500-page book on Alexander Hamilton. Nothing against Hamilton, great, and all that, but it's a lot to digest for one guy, and they're not going to do it.
Right.
And I know from talking with my staff at the factory, they were interested. I was always talking history with these guys, and I realized that they want to know enough to know what happened without having to spend 6 months or a year doing it. And so I came with this idea, this book. It's a lot of short chapters. It's really a user-friendly book. My cheese factory background taught me that you have to service your customers well and think about what they like. And how many people don't want to have a place to close their book and you can't find the end of the chapter? And so we have short chapters, lots of pictures that are beautiful, all full color, dozen maps. I feel like I'm selling you the book. But that's
I meant to order it even just before our podcast. I've had so much on my plate and I'm reading so many things, but I am going to order it. Actually, it's probably a wonderful gift book too. And I'm always looking for something to give to our sons, because they are, fortunately, they do believe in the history of our country. We raise them that way, but I think that'll be a great gift, because attention spans are like this right now.
Well, and the book it tells you a lot of the details in about 4 or 5 page chapters.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's got to be entertaining. If someone's bored, put the book down, never pick it up again.
Yes.
And it's interesting, Deborah, when I took the book to some publishers, they wanted to put a price tag of $60 or $70 on the book, like a coffee table book. And I said, well, then the everyday American can't afford it. The factory worker, the construction guy, the waitress can't afford that. And they said, well, then you have to go with white pages, black print, and that's it. And I said, well, then that's not going to be this visual masterpiece I had envisioned. Yes. And so we created our own printing company. We created Americana Corner Press. Mm-hmm. We found a printer, we found a layout guy, a design person, an editor, and we outsourced everything. And so because we cut the publisher out, we were able to create this book that they said should market at $60 or $70 for $35.
Oh, that's so great.
And so, yeah, it's been great to do it. And I'm just so happy that we did it ourselves. We controlled every process, every step in the process. And, it's been very rewarding. And now book number 2 is written. It's in the editing stage right now. And Sherry and her team are finding all the images and things for the book. And we hope to come out with it. We thought this fall, but it might be in the spring. We'll have a lot of other things going on, and we'll see. But sometime in the next 6 to 12 months, it'll be out there.
Oh, that's so great. And we're going to have to do another interview when that comes out to make sure that I'm just so excited about this. That you pay attention also to the technology, because I'm asked quite a bit about technology, and people will tell me, "Oh, you're so good at tech." And I said, "No, it's because I've wasted a lot of time in tech. I have spent a lot of time learning and figuring out what not to do." And so, but you've got to use it right now. But you're doing the video as well. You're making sure the images, all of that, and they're done very, very well and very classy, very classic for our country. And so I look forward to, going through that book. And actually, it sounds like just a wonderful gift book too, where parents talk to a lot of parents, grandparents, and, we need to educate our kids, give them something that they'll read, that they'll look at, at least they'll look through pictures but understanding the history. That's so, so very important. So
we're so fortunate. We had a book signing at Mount Vernon recently. They were nice enough to allow me to do that. And it was just wonderful talking to the people that were interested in the book. And you're right, a lot of people are giving it. I bet a dozen books were purchased for Christmas gifts.
Yes.
And it's flattering, honestly, to know that they're giving that sort of book as a gift. And so, yeah, I think it's resonating well.
That's neat. That's exciting. That excites me, and there's a couple of my books that are great gift books as well. But, you got to get the word out and all of that. And that's why I really appreciate you doing a podcast interview too. It doesn't matter really how huge and large your audience is. It's who's really listening all the way through.
Right.
So that's very, very important. So, well, you answered kind of my next question. Are you writing more books? Which is, it's a journey. People always say, "Are you writing more books?" Well, of course I am.
Well, you're right.
And what you said about developing business, it's marketing and it's getting the word out consistently. And that's one of the biggest challenges for building. And as you're building your team. So you've done that very well as you demonstrated with your cheese company. And now you've applied that to, your nonprofit company that you're doing. And I was very interested to read on your website. Again, I will tell everyone, it will be in the show notes and it'll be in some of the notes with the article that I will end up putting it. Make sure that you get in the newsletters. So goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter. Make sure you got that going. My husband always tells me I say that way too fast, but you can get the links. But I wanted you to talk about your grant program because it was very impressive of how many grants you gave. And how did that come about? You had these funds that you're investing in. So just talk about that.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you. Yeah, I think like you, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I keep coming up with all these ideas, these product line extensions.
Yeah.
And the grant program came about after we sold the cheese factory. I realized we had all these financial blessings and the responsibility that came with that. And it occurred to me that I could do, I'll say the easier way and just send checks to organizations and, say, send me a Christmas card, thank you, and that's good enough. But that wasn't going to be enough for me. I needed to have a bit more input. And I wanted to hold them accountable. I wanted to also participate in what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So I came up with this idea, I call it project philanthropy, where the organizations apply for a grant every November, December. We have the application window open. And they apply for a grant for a specific project. It's not just give us $10,000 for a general operating fund. It's for a project. And then within that year, they have to complete the project as they said they would. And they have to provide progress reports so we can hold them accountable and also keep informed with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that I had this money, and I was one guy, and there's all these people out there willing to do the work, but they don't have money. And so I thought, what a perfect marriage.
Right.
My money, their work and energy. And I thought, and it's worked out just like I hoped it would, even better than I hoped it would. And so each year we get, I don't know, 200 applications, I'll say. Mm-hmm. And we probably give out 120 to 130 grants. Mm-hmm. We try to budget about $1 million a year or so for the grants. And it's been such a blessing to understand how many other Americans are out there wanting to do good and wanting to tell the American story. Because when all you see is mainstream media stuff, you start getting a little bit depressed, like, wow, does anybody even believe in this stuff anymore? Yeah. And it's amazing how many do. And so we're helping them. They tell their story. And I think to date, we've given out over 300 or so grants, 37 different states and DC. And it's just been wonderful to see what these guys are doing. And they take $8,000 or $10,000 and they fix a roof on a house where Henry Knox slept. Wow. Or they put up new signage at a battlefield. So when visitors come in, they can see what happened there, even if there's not an interpreter on site. Wow. And it's just been wonderful. And every year I get a chance to play Santa Claus on Washington's birthday. That's money out. And it's great.
How fun. How, and to hear probably the stories. That'll be another book.
Yes.
By the way, I can think of a million ideas for you, by the way.
Thank you.
My husband always says, quit. But some of the stories, because those are American stories, recent American stories of being able to, have a place where people can visit. We visited, Washington's, we did one of those historical, tours to see, his place where he was back and went to the Capitol. We brought our boys, we did all of that. But it's so great to hear all of those separate places, because there were a lot of different ones. These are all mentioned on your website, of course. That you can see one after the other, and you have a little blips on each on the story, on what they've done, and how great that is, how inspiring that is. Yeah,
it's so nice to help. I don't see the little guy, because that sounds demeaning. But these are all volunteer organizations, a lot of the ones that we support. Mount Vernon is stellar. Colonial Williamsburg, everybody knows about that. The Smithsonian, right, they do. And they do a great job, and we're happy to support them as well. But the smaller organizations, these guys aren't doing it for a paycheck. Right. They show up on a weekend, they police the grounds, they trim the brushes away, they do whatever they can to raise some funds to put in a new sidewalk. These are people doing it purely out of love. There is absolutely no money changing hands here at all. Wow. And wow, what a great cadre of Americans they are. And so we're just so happy to help them. And we're happy to help the big guys too, don't get me wrong, but what a special way to help these smaller organizations.
Well, and they're kind of under the bar. They don't, and getting grants, I've applied for some grants. I've gotten some. I've not gotten, many too, there's both ways. But there's such a process in that applying for those grants, and you have to go through all of these hoops and everything else just to even get there. It just takes forever. And if it's a simple, you've told them what the mission is and what you want to do, and this is the purpose of your philanthropy and with your the grants, and they can also see. I like the fact that there's a track record now. When you first start that, it's a little harder, but they can look on the website and they can see the type of organizations who have gotten those grants, and are they, are they appropriate for receiving some monies?
That's right. The first time we did this, we notified people that we were giving away all this money, almost like soliciting them to take our money.
Yeah.
And I think some people looked like, is this for real? And
Yeah.
and now we have 3 or 4 years under our belt, and yeah,
Mm.
it's gone over very, very well. And yeah, and we hope to keep on doing this into the future. And to your point about the application process, uh, sometimes the application process is an impediment to
Yes.
an organization getting that money, and we didn't want that. So we
Yes.
have a simple one pager: send us your budget, fill out this application, and we'll let you know. And because this isn't a process that should take a lot of effort, especially for an all volunteer organization. It's got to be thorough. There's no doubt about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we've made the process as streamlined as we can. And once again, the application window runs every year from November 15th to December 15th. And then we announce winners on Washington's birthday.
Oh, that's great. I'll put that in the notes too, November to December 15th, in case, people forget. But also, you have accountability. And what happens with many of these grants, and, there's all sorts of grants, government grants, other grants, but there's not a lot of accountability. And we see this sometimes in, we see it all the time. I hate to be, I'm not going to go political here, but, it's like, okay, where are the tax dollars? Didn't we pass that bond? Then what? Why?
No.
Why don't we have water? So some of these things that we have, and so there's so much accountability. I think that's very, very important in this process, because you don't just have, if you just give money and just give it, it flies away. But if there's accountability to help build something and to be able to refurbish and do and something specific, that's such a joy. And that it's a joy to you, but it's also a joy to the organization.
Well, it is. And this project philanthropy idea is, they've enjoyed it. The organizations, I think they've enjoyed it. I know I have. And we all have to be held accountable. We all need those checks and balances.
Right.
And it gives them a purpose. They have to accomplish something, even if it's just putting on a new roof. They have to accomplish that purpose in a certain time period. And no, we don't claw back the money if they don't make it happen. They're doing the best they can, and things happen. We recognize that. But it means that you can't get a second grant until you complete your first one. And we hold to that pretty true.
Good.
So it's we think it's a nice accountable system. As I said, it's easier to send them a check and say, just send me a thank you card. That's not enough. It doesn't hold them accountable. And I would encourage more people to do the same sort of thing. If there's a love that you have, if there's something you want fixed up, you want to help, you're not out of your realm if you say, I want this to go to this specific thing.
Right. It's a great, especially from your end, what, you have to be specific. And as we are specific, that works in business too, as we are specific.
It does.
Yes,
right.
Yeah, definitely. Right. It's very, very helpful. Well, when you talked about taking care of family and all of that, now you have shared with me too, you don't have kids that you're, bequeathing everything to and have, that, but you are giving back in a great way, which is wonderful. But also you're living life, and you had put in your bio that you also love to play the guitar, which was really fun.
I do. I won't bring it out here and sing my latest Johnny Cash song, but that'll be for another time.
But that's fun. Well-rounded, personable. You're not just sitting in some sort of little history cubicle all day. You're doing other things, and just have.
That'd be fun, doesn't it, Deborah? You got to enjoy what you're doing.
You sure do. You really do, and it's such a privilege to enjoy what you're doing.
It is.
There's a lot of people looking for a change, and so. When we talk about legacy, this is big on some people's minds at mid-career halftime. They're trying to think, okay, what do I do next? I love your cup, by the way. It's very appropriate.
Yeah, right. Thank you. I found that in an antique store
I love
in
that.
Madison, Georgia. So,
Well, I'm a Georgia girl originally, so
oh,
that's
there you
where I was
go.
born.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't stay long, but I got those Southern roots. But we talk about leaving a legacy, and what legacy would you? I mean, it's almost so apparent to me what legacy you are leaving, because you are leaving books, you are leaving investment in companies, you are leaving all of these videos, the website. You had a buyer for your business. No, this is different. Okay. This is not, somebody's just going to come in, what's going to happen, and what sort of legacy and what encouragement do you have for others at this point in their lives? They may not have the financial resources, but they have skills, they have experience, they've got some sort of monetary ability, freedom to be able to do. So what sort of advice do you give Tom Hand with the joy that you have had in what you're doing for others at this stage?
I think I'll, the legacy thing, I'll mention that first.
Yes.
Obviously you want to be a good man. I mean, that if you're not that, nothing else really matters. So, but beyond that, I wanted to leave something for the country. And so the books, the videos, the grants, the things we're helping to restore, the educational endeavors that we're helping to support, I hope that means that this will go on well past when I'm not able to do this anymore. We have set up our foundation so that it can continue for some time thereafter. You never know what the future holds when you're not around, but we have a vision that it will continue to give out grants. We've assembled a small team of people that understand what we're all about, and they're younger than us, we're a generation younger.
Good.
All my attorney friends are my age, but they age with me, and so we thought through that whole process, and so anyway, that's what I hope the legacy will be, is that it will continue on and leave something impactful for the country. I'm hoping one of my goals for books is to create this whole series that takes us through the end of Reconstruction, which just happens to be 100 years after our founding, 1776 to 1876. And so I have in the back of my mind this series of 7 or 8 books that takes us through Reconstruction. And I'm hoping that I can leave that behind me in a way some other guys have written the history of America and that sort of thing. And so we'll see what the good Lord has in store for me. But that's what I'd like to do. In terms of advice, I'm always hesitant to give too much advice. I don't want to sound too preachy. And I've made so many mistakes in my life. Who am I to give advice? But all I would say is you go through life one time, you get one life to live. And isn't it, and you can decide what you're going to do with it. And isn't it better to have an impact, a positive impact, and do something that matters rather than not? And I tell you, just from personal experience, there is nothing like the satisfaction of knowing that what I'm doing matters. And wow, what a great self boost to know that you're impacting people positively. So I would just say to everybody out there, I never wrote a book. I never did charity until I sold a business, and then I doing all this stuff, and it's gone pretty well. But even if I hadn't, at least like Teddy Roosevelt's Man in the Arena, at least I jumped into the arena and I took a chance. And I would just advise other people to do it while you can. So I'll get off my soapbox now, and that'll be my advice.
That's great advice. And in my program, I have a Hero Mountain Summit program that I run for individuals twice a year, and for teams more than that. But it's really a process of self-discovery. It's a mentorship program, online mentorship, but it is this is everybody's own decision. And I've been told what to do and how to do and everything.
Yep.
You've got to find your own way pretty much and decide what you're, figure out your own strengths and what you love to do and what you want to do, what kind of drives you. So when you found that and you found a balance in that, how wonderful this is. And what a great legacy as well that you
Aren't we fortunate that we live in a country where you can do that? Where you can control your own destiny.
Yes.
And you can decide, you know what, I'm going to do that. I'm going to make an impact. And that's one of those blessings we got to protect.
I tell you, we really do. If anybody doesn't appreciate that, you need to go to a country for a while that doesn't have that.
No kidding. You wonder why all these immigrants want to come here.
Exactly. You want to sit under that and say something wrong and be in jail the next day and probably had your head cut off. There's just countries like that. So our leaders fought hard, and our military. I'm a strong believer on, our armed forces and what they risk in different areas and how important it is, even for our first responders, all of them that think of the others first. They are first. I have a son who's a fireman, a dad who is a fireman. They're first in the fire a lot of times. So. And military, they're on the front lines. So for our freedoms, so just to really respect that. And any closing words? And I'm going to let you tell everyone, even though they'll be in the show notes, if people are just listening, how to get a hold of you, how to all of that. And are there any closing words of advice that you would have?
No, AmericanaCorner.com is, it's Tom at AmericanaCorner.com is my email address, and people can email me if they want or send me an email through the website. I'm just so thankful for what I've been able to do in my life. It's not where I thought I would ever end up. And to be able to have this opportunity to do for others what we're able to do is a blessing I didn't expect to have, and to meet people like yourself. It's so no, I don't have any closing words of wisdom other than, if you can make a difference, do so.
If you can make a difference, do so is a wonderful, wonderful word of advice. And I think that's, in any way, it can be in a little small way, whatever. You don't have to do a huge, huge thing, but it definitely makes you feel good. And it brings that satisfaction and a way to be able to give back and really do your homework too. I also
want to say thank you, Deborah. This is an opportunity that everybody gets. You have a lot of people you can choose from. So thank you for choosing me. I really appreciate that. And I have to tell you, it's a real pleasure chatting with you. I really enjoyed it. You made it easy. It was a lot of fun. Thanks.
It is so much fun for me. And I'm in my wheelhouse here of just being able to I really, really enjoy it. It's wonderful. And to open up, this technology used to not be there. I've come through, even getting graduate work and not having a computer. You did everything by hand, and had some things published, and they had to send it to the engraver and do all of that. And so this is amazing what we can do. And so taking advantage, and hopefully that's an encouragement for the people who are at mid-career halftime. Don't shy away from the tech. Learn enough to hire it out. That's what I always say. You've got to be able to manage what you have. But it's not all that scary. I have courses and I have, the ability to help some people, but you've got to be able to do your own homework, and you've got to be able to willingly be able to, go through that. In fact, there's a little illustration I can give, having kids. Okay. Because I've had 3 sons. And one of our sons and daughters-in-law just had a baby, and she was just, everything hurts now, getting that baby out. And I said, there's a reason why they call it labor. It's just a reason.
There's a reason.
There's a reason why it's not just so easy many times to, launch something. And you've really gone through the steps. And I love the fact that you came through having nothing as well, because it really makes you appreciate everything. It really does.
Amen. It certainly does.
Yeah, it sure does. This has been an absolute pleasure. And for those of you who are still on, hopefully, goalsforyourlife.com/newsletter to get the newsletter. You can always reach me other places too. People love the music. I have a lot of music as well. DJWorksMusic.com, DeborahJohnsonSpeaker.com. I take a limited number of engagements these days, live engagements, but I do a lot virtually. So thank you again for joining me. And thank you everyone for hanging on and joining me. And I will look forward to being with you all again next time. So bye-bye for now. Thank you for joining us. It is because of our wonderful listeners like you that we keep going strong week after week. We'd love it if you'd share and follow us to not miss a single show and even write a review. You can also find all of our articles, products, and links at womenathalftime.com.